my dear 8th standard children. I hope you all fine at home. Stay home, stay safe. I came with another video session of Unit 8 Organization of Life. In this lesson we are going to see about the cell, organ system and tissues. So let's go for the video session. Hello children. Now we are going to see about Unit 8 Organization of Life. In this lesson the learning objects are: understand the different level of organization seen in animal world. Each level of organization and structure of eye was an example of organ level of organization. Respiratory system as an example for the system level of organization. Understand the various function of organizational setup with a reference of homeostasis, diffusion, osmosis, cellular respiration and metabolism. Organization of life. The variation are not only seen in the size but also complexity of their cells, tissues of the body structure. This is called as a organization of life. Biological organization are arranged from cellular level of organism level. It goes like tissue, organ system and organism. Each of us represents a level of organization. Organization are two levels, that is lower level and higher level. Irrespective of level, they exhibit and can perform all life activity like growth, metabolism, reproduction, etc. Organization of cells and tissue. You know very well, cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of living organism. So, it is capable of performing the special function. So, it is also called as building blocks of life. Single cell organism like amoeba carried the process of life like higher organism. So, the body of amoeba looks like single cell while higher animals are made up of billions of cells like bacteria, yeast and amoeba which have only single cells. This is called as a unicellular organism. In your lower class and all you studied only which have only one cell, it is called as a unicellular organism. And this organism like human being, cows, trees are made up of large numbers of cells. So it is called as a multicellular organism. There are different levels of organism. So cells makes tissues, tissues makes up organs, organ makes up organ system. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Based on the structural organization, the organism is classified into two types. In some of the organism like bacteria, cyanobacteria and myoplasm, no true nucleus is seen. These organisms are called as prokaryotes. However, in the cells of amoeba, animals and plants, well-defined nucleus are covered by the membrane is seen. These organisms is called as eukaryotes. Biological levels of organization. In this, we are going to see about the unicellular and multicellular. I already explained you unicellular is a single cell and multicellular which have more number of cells. So, single celled organism is called as a unicellular organism and many cell organisms are called as a multicellular organism. In biological organizations show the organization levels are the simplest complex forms, that is simplest to a complex, atom to a molecule, cell to a tissue, organ system, organism, population, communities, ecosystem and finally biosphere. Here we have some of the organs in animals as well as plants. So what are the organs are seen here? You can able to see lungs, kidney, heart, brain, And organs in the animals are root, shoot, stem, leaf. These are the organs of plants as well as animals. Organ system. The pictorial representation of biological organ systems are here, though atoms and molecules take up the cell. So they are considered as a non-living, where population, community, ecosystem, biosphere or ecological importance to restrict our study of cell to organism. Cell. You know very well, cell is a structural functional unit of life. Cell are often called as a building blocks of life. So study of cell is called as a cell biology. Cell consists of cytoplasm enclosed within a membrane which contains many biomolecules such as protein and nucleic acid. So organism may be a unicellular like bacteria or multicellular like human. So each cell is an amazing world in itself. So which converts a nutrition into energy. Each cell stores own set of instruction for carried out of each of their activities. So the central spherical nucleus and the variety of cytoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, centrioles, ribosome, lysosomes, etc. are present in animal cell. Each organelle perform a specific function. So size of the cells will be varies from different animals which is measured in the unit. Okay, the average cell size is 0.5 to 20 μm in diameter. So cells of bacteria is smallest in size. In human body, the smallest cell is RBC, that is red blood corpuscle. The longest cell one is nerve cell, which reaches a length of about 90 to 100 centimeter. So we can able to see the various different shapes and size of some cells are given here. So which is one of the very smallest cell is RBC and longest cell is nerve cell. And human egg ovum is 100 μm in size. Among the multicellular animals, the largest cell is egg on ostrich. It's measure 170 mm into 180 mm in diameter. So it is about 25,000 times bigger than the red blood cell. Myoplasma with a bacteria or diameter is 0.0001 mm is the smallest bacterium. So it is our bacteria. Stem cells. Stem cell is essentially a blank cell capable of becoming another more differentiated cell types in the body, such as in skin cell, muscle cell or nerve cell. They are microscopic in size. So stem cells are used to replace or even heal the damaged tissue in the body. So they can serve as a built-in repair system for the human body. Nowadays, many hospitals have the donors for the stem cells, so they are storing the stem cells to replace or damaged tissues and all. You can able to rectify it. So in a human body, other cells as long as person are still alive. So stem cells is very essential. It is called as a blank cell. Tissues. In this we are going to see animal tissue. Before that, in our body is developed from a single cell. Did you know anybody? Only single cell only the human being is made, because it is called that single cell is called as a zygote. The zygote undergoes continuation of meiotic division and forms a photoecious consisting multitudes of cells of different shape, size and content. Photial cells gradually attain a change in structure and function. This process is known as a cell differentiation. From the single cell we can get multiple cells. So this is the single cell is called as zygote. So our body is developed from the single cell. Tissues. The group of cells is called as a tissue. There are two types of tissue, simple as well as complex. Simple tissue is made up of same kind. Example, granular tissue, complex tissue. And which is made up of different kind of tissues is called as complex tissue, tissues of dry skin. Simple tissue is homogeneous, complex tissue is a heterogeneous. So these are the two types of tissues. Depending on the basis on the structure, function, tissues can be classified as two: epithelial, muscular, connective, nervous. Epithelial is a covering tissue for protection. Muscular, contractile tissue for movements and locomotion. Connective, supporting tissue for binding different structure of body. Nervous tissue for conduction of nerve impulses. All complex organisms consist of only four basic types of tissues. The eyes, photoreceptor. The eyes is one of the most important sensory organ in human body. It composed of muscular tissue, connective tissue, neural tissue, and mainly responsible for vision, differentiating the color. Human eye can be differentiated approximately 10 to 12 million colors and maintaining the biological clock of a human body. Human eye can be compared to a camera, isn't it? As both function by gathering, focusing, transmitting the light through the lens for creating an image of an object. To understand the more detail, our eyes, how the eyes are functioning, isn't it? So, receptor cell is eye. Structure and function of human eye. Human eyes are the most complicated sense organ in the human body, with the several parts fixed together for a spherical structure. We are going to see, children, what are the very minute things and minute parts and minute cells and all there in the eyes. So it is very complicated, isn't it? While you do anything, suddenly it will affect eye. It's not able to cue very fast. So it's very sensitive part in the human body itself is eye. Every part of human eye is mainly responsible for certain action. Structure of human eye can be broadly classified into external and internal structure. The external structure of an eye. The part of the eye that are visible externally comprise of external structure of the eye. Some of the external structure of eye are sclera, iris, pupil, cornea, conjunctiva. These are the external structure of an eye. Sclera. It is tough and thick white sheath that protect the inner parts of the eye. We know it is the white of the eye. So you know that is called as a white of the eye. Conjunctiva. It is a thin transparent membrane that spread across the sclera which keeps the eye moist and clear by secreting small amount of mucus and tears. Cornea. It is a transparent layer of the membrane that spreads over the pupil and iris. The main role of cornea is to refract the light that enters into the eyes. Iris. So, it is a pigmented layer of the tissue made up of colored portion of an eye. Its primary function is to control the size of pupil depending on the amount of light entering it. The next one is pupil. It's a small opening located in the middle of iris. It allows the light to come in. Internal structure of an eye. The internal structure of the eye includes lens, retina, optic nerve, aqueous humor, and vitreous humor. Lens. It is a transparent, biconvex, and adjustable part of an eye. It's made up of protein. That's why we used to take more protein content. That's why it will very useful for the eyes. So lens with the help of cornea refracts light focusing on the retina, therefore creating images on it. Retina. It is the inner layer present in the back of the eye where all the images are formed. It is the third and innermost coat of the eye. It is very sensitive to the light because presence of photoreceptor, that is rod and cone cell. Retina functioned by converting the light rays into impulse, sending the signals to the brain through the optic nerve. So what are the images we are seeing through the eye? Suddenly it will go and stored into our brain. So that work is retina is doing. Optic nerve. It is located at the end of the eyes. You can able to see the eyes at the last end. You'll have a optic nerve behind the retina. So optic nerve is mainly responsible carrying all the nerve impulse from the photoreceptor to the human brain. Without vision could be not possible. So whatever the images or visions, it will be carried to the brain. Aqueous humor and vitreous humors are there. Vitreous humor. It is a semi-solid transparent jelly-like substance that covers the interior portion of the eyes. It plays an important role to maintaining the shape of the eyes. So it can causes the refraction of light before it reaches to the retina. Aqueous humor. It is a watery fluid that present in the area between the lens and the cornea. It is responsible for the nourishment of both as well as lens and cornea. In the organ system, there are so many organ systems are there, from heart, blood vessels to make a cardiac vascular system. Organs such as nose, pharynx, trachea, lungs, diaphragms, that is called as respiratory system. Mouth, stomach, duodenum and intestine together is called as a digestive system. So now we are going to see, that is a respiratory system. The respiratory system, our respiratory system consists of organ like trachea, bronchus, lungs, which are responsible for exchange of air between the atmosphere and the blood. These organ is called as a respiratory tracts. In this, nose and the windpipe. First, we inhale air through nostril, that is nose. The inner surface of the cavity is lined with the cilia, mucus producing the cell which makes it sticky and moist. The cilia and mucus trap dust and germs, prevents them from going deeper into the respiratory tract. That's why inside the nose we will have some dirt in it. Blood vessels in the nose helps to warm the inhaled air. Next, windpipe. After passing through the nasal cavity, the air enter into the pharynx. Then it goes to trachea or a windpipe. You can able to see the windpipe. It is elastic tube. So it is extended down length of the neck and partially into the chest. If you rotate your head, what will happen? The windpipe will be extend and shrink. Between the pharynx and trachea lies a small air passage. The larynx, commonly known as voice box. That's why we are producing the sound in it. Bronchi. The trachea divides into two branches. It's called as a bronchi, the singular branches. Each branches leads into the lungs, which divided the or redivided to finally form the air passages called bronchioles. Lungs. Lungs are the organ in the chest cavity that allow body to take oxygen from the air. They also helps to remove carbon dioxide from the body. Lungs lies on neither side of the breastbone and fill the inside the chest cavity. Left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung to allow the room for the heart. So, the left lung is slightly smaller, the right lung little bit bigger in size. So, lungs are two spongy elastic bags or each sides of thorax cavity. The thorax cavity is bounded dorsally by vertebral column and ventrically by sternum. Laterally by ribs and lower side of dome-shaped diaphragm. So, below the lungs you will have one part is called as a diaphragm. Alveoli. Alveoli are tiny air sacs in the lungs that take up the oxygen we breathe in and keep your body going. So I gave you the picture of alveoli. It is inside the lungs. Although they are microscopic, alveoli are the workhorse of our respiratory system. You have about 480 million alveoli located at the end of the bronchial tubes. How many million alveoli? 480 million alveoli. The total area of the air sacs in the lungs above 2000 square feet or more than 100 times of body surface area. Alveoli is meant for exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So it is one of our important or very important thing which is alveoli. So we already seen the respiratory system as nose, windpipe, bronchi, lungs and alveoli. On an average adult, that is human being at rest breathes in and out 15 to 18 times in a minute. During heavy exercise, the breathing rate increases up to 25 times per minute. Smoking damage lungs. So smoking is also linked to cancer. It must be avoided. When you sneeze, you should cover your nose. You all know very well due to this pandemic corona situation, all are wearing masks, gloves and all while we are sneezing or coughing, we are closing our nose. Okay, so we should cover our nose so that the foreign particles, that is germs, the foreign particle you expel are not inhaled by others. Mechanism of breathing. The process of taking air into the lungs is called inspiration or inhalation. So breathing is a process whereby air, that is gas, move in and out of the body is called as a breathing mechanism. In this, we are going to see inspiration and expiration, that is inhalation, exhalation. So what is mean by inhalation? The process of taking air into the lungs is called inhalation. During the inhalation, the sternum is pushed up and downwards and the diaphragm is pulled down. This increases the volume of the thorax cavity and the pressure decreases. The air outside the body flows into the lungs. Here, exchange of gases takes place between the air and the blood. Inhalation. The process of expelling air from the lungs is called exhalation. Upon exhalation, the lungs recoil to force the air out to the lungs. The intercostal muscles relax, returning the chest wall to the original position. During exhalation, the diaphragm also relax, moving higher into the thorax cavity. This increases the pressure within the thorax cavity relative to the environment. So, air rushes out of the lungs due to the pressure. This movement of air out of the lungs is called as a passive event. Exchange of gases. We already learned alveoli. So this is a very important in the exchange of gases. The content of oxygen in inhaled air in the alveoli is more than blood flowing through the capillaries. So, oxygen moves into the blood by simple diffusion. Hemoglobin in the blood combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. The blood carries the oxygen, reaches the heart through the blood vessels. So, heart pumps it to all the tissues in the body. The tissue releases the carbon dioxide which carried back to the alveoli by the blood. So, the carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood to the air in the alveoli and it's sent out of the body when the air is exhaled. Difference between inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation. The muscles of the diaphragm contract. In exhalation, the muscle of diaphragm relax. Diaphragm goes downwards. Diaphragm goes upwards. Ribs move upward and downward. Here, ribs move downwards. Inhalation, the volume of thorax cavities increases. In exhalation, the volume of thorax cavity decreases. In inhalation, air enters the lungs through the nose. In exhalation, air goes out of the lungs through the nose. The next important topic is hemostasis. It is a property of human biological system where self-regulating process tends to maintain the balance of survival. Regulation takes place in a defined internal environment. Mammals are capable of maintaining the constant body temperature despite the changes in external temperature. Behavioral and psychological response are two important regulating mechanisms maintaining the stability of hemostasis. In a simple term, it can be referred balance a system to maintain the stable external environment for survival for the animals. If the hemostatic regulates successfully, the life continues, or if unsuccessfully, death or disaster occurs. All the process of integration and coordination of the function are mediated by nervous and hormonal system. The liver, kidney and brain, atomic nervous system, endocrine system helps to maintain the hemostasis. Maintenance of the body fluid, concentration and body temperature are done by various biophysical biochemical methods. So human beings are warm blood in nature. That is, they maintain the body temperature in constants. So the body temperature raises, sweat produces to bring the temperature down. When the body lowers the heat, it produces a muscular pain by shivering. This is an example for hemostasis. Diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of particle from an area higher concentration to the lower concentration. So, the example for diffusion includes perfume filling a whole room and the movement of some small molecules across the cell membrane. One of the simplest demonstration of the liquid is adding a drop of ink into the water. What will happen when you add a drop of ink to it? It will spread into every molecules, water molecules and all. It will go and it will changes the color. So, okay. What happens when incense stick lift up into the room? How do you feel? The fragrance spreads the entire room, isn't it? The movement of the molecules from the region of higher concentration to lower concentration, that is called as a diffusion. You can smell that stick after lightning because the smoke diffuse in the air and make it to the way into your nose. So, diffusion of the smoke through the in an air medium, that is the instant stick. So, the another example is tea bag. There are other processes in which a substance move in a water medium. To another study, such process is the following in a tea bag. That is the tea bag placed in a cup of hot water. Diffusion through in a water medium, so it will spread throughout into the water. So it is a good example for diffusion. Osmosis. Osmosis is a movement of solvents. Solvents mean water, and some other also it will called as a solvent. So osmosis is a movement of a solvent particle across a semi-permeable membrane from a dilute solution to concentration solution. The solvent moves to a dilute, the concentrated solution, and equalize the concentration on both the sides of the membrane. It is called as the osmosis. The movement of the liquid in and out cells is dependent on the concentration of the solution surrounded it. There are three types of situation: isotonic, hypotonic, and hypertonic. First, hypertonic. Here the external solution concentration is greater than the concentration of the inner solution of the organism. The water will rush out of the organism. So it is a hypertonic. Second, isotonic. Here the concentration of external and the internal solution of the organism are equal. Hypertonic. Here external solution concentration is less compared to the concentration of the inner solution of the organism. In this case, water will rush into the organism. Osmoregulation. The term osmoregulation is coined by Hober in 1902. It is a process by which the organism regulates a water balance in its body and maintains hemostatics of the body. It also regulates the body temperature. It includes controlling the excess water loss or gain and maintaining the fluid balance and the osmotic concentration, that is, concentration of electrolytes. It ensures that fluids in the body do not get too diluted or concentrated. There are two major types of osmoregulation. One is osmoconformers and osmoregulators. The first osmoconformers are the organism try to maintain the osmolality of their body matching within the surrounding most of the invertebrate of marine organism. Osmoregulators, these organisms maintain their internal osmolality which can be extremely different from that surrounding environment through a psychological processes. Cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is a process by which organisms break down the glucose into the form of cell as used as the energy. This energy is made available to the living cells in the form of ATP. Cellular respiration takes place in cytoplasm, mitochondria of the cell. Cellular respirations are classified into two types. One is aerobic respiration, another one is anaerobic respiration. So, two types of respirations are there. Aerobic respiration. In this type of respiration, the food substance completely oxidized into water, carbon dioxide with the release of energy. It requires atmospheric oxygen and all high organisms respirate aerobically. This reaction releases large amount of energy. So, glucose plus oxygen which gives carbon dioxide, water as well as energy. And aerobic respiration. In this type of respiration, the partial oxidation of food takes place and the organism release energy in the absence of oxygen. This type of respiration occurs in organisms like yeast. Ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide are the byproduct of this process. This reaction releases very little energy because glucose is not completely oxidized. So, glucose, which gives ethanol, carbon dioxide as well as energy. Difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic. This reaction takes place in the presence of oxygen. So obviously an anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. In aerobic respiration, the end product is carbon dioxide and water. Whereas in anaerobic respiration, the end product is carbon dioxide and ethanol or lactic acid. Common in all higher plants and animals. In anaerobic respiration, common in certain microorganisms and human muscle cells. Metabolism. Metabolism is a sum of chemical energy by which a living organism sustains their life. Metabolism consists of anabolism, building up of substances, and catabolism, breaking down of substances. The term metabolism is commonly used to refer the specifically to breakdown of the food and its transformation into the energy, cellular products and waste elimination. Two types of metabolisms is there. One is anabolism, second one is catabolism. Anabolism or constructive metabolism, building up or storing up. It supports the growth of new cells, maintain the body tissue and storage of energy for use in the future. During anabolism, small molecules are changed into larger, more complex molecules of carbohydrate, protein and fat. So, glucose will given to the glycogen and other sugars. So, amino acid which gives enzymes, hormones, protein. Fatty acid, cholesterol and other steroids. Catabolism. Catabolism or a destructive metabolism is a process that produces the energy required for all activity in the cells. So, in this process, cell break down larger molecules to release the energy. This energy release provides a fuel for anabolism. Heat the body, enables the muscle to contract and the body to move. The complex chemical units are broken down into more simpler substances. The waste products released in the process of catabolism are removed from the body through the skin, kidney, lungs and intestine. So some of the examples of the catabolism is carbohydrates gives to glucose, glucose will gives to carbon dioxide, water and heat, protein which gives to amino acid. So repeated anabolism and catabolism reaction maintain the hemostatic condition in the organism. The metabolic process is a causes of maintaining the ionic balance in the body. So, it is also the responsible for the movement, growth, development, repair of the cell as well as maintain the tissues of the human body. These metabolic reaction occurs in different organ of the living species.